Loud music is playing and three men say they have 15 minutes to get in and out. One of them then removes his prosthetic arm. They then cover their faces and prepare. Lex is being interviewed by Clark and Chloe. The security guard comes in and says Lionel Luthor is on the phone. The three men approach a gate. Chloe tells Clark to take a look at something and then disappears. As Clark goes to check, the three men suddenly appear out of nowhere. One of them says that the vault is behind the bookcase. The men then walk straight through the wall. They start gathering all the jewelry and money. They also find a disc. Clark and Chloe get back and Clark sees some bags. Just then Clark feels the meteor stones and is then grabbed. He tells Chloe to run. Clark is affected and punched. The guy who grabs Chloe has a green tattoo. Chloe punches him off but is then thrown through the window. The men escape and as Chloe is hanging on, she falls. Clark is weak. He then finds Chloe on the floor. She's in the hospital. Lex says he brought in the best doctors, as Chloe has a concussion. Clark doesn't understand how they appeared. Lex says there have been a dozen of these robberies. They get in and out without breaking any lock. They even try to hit the Smallville savings and loan. They trip an alarm within the vault. Clark asks if police can trace his stolen items. Lex says he didn't report anything stolen. He just wants justice for his friends. Whitney didn't meet Lana at the hospital. Clark is chopping wood with his hands. His parents enter and tell him what's going on. Clark is disappointed as he couldn't do anything. He says he felt the attack of meteor rocks and would like to get away from Smallville and the rocks. Jonathan tells him running away will not solve anything. Martha tells him to find out stuff. Nell is cleaning up the theater. Lana asks who the buyer is. It is Lex Luthor. Clark mentions the bank robbery to Pete. When he looks through the wall, he sees an arm between the vault door. Pete tells him they're not cops. We see the tattoo of the robbers. One of them says there is still no sidebar even though he's missing much wealth. The man without the arm is looking at a disc. He says this stuff doesn't last that long anymore. The man says they need fresh blood. The one-armed man says that Lex didn't file the robbery report because he is tapped into his dad's computer. Lex is on the phone with private investigators. Suddenly, the robbers enter. He says he'll call the police, but they know what he's up to. He's skimming money from his dad to fund a project in Smallville. The man hits Lex. They want $1 million in cash, or else they'll upload the disc on the internet. He is handed a phone. They tell him to turn around. When he looks, they're gone. Whitney is working at the store. He's in a bad mood as he lost his scholarship. He believes he'll work at the store forever. A man asks him for help. Clark notes the tattoo on his arm. As Whitney is helping, the guy comes up. He tells him he had an injury and also lost his scholarships. Whitney says he doesn't want to do this for the rest of his life. They look at each other. The man then tells him they're having a party and he should come by. Whitney's partying at their place. The guy says they can use a talented guy. He then brings him into a room for a tattoo. Whitney says he's not into tattoos. The guy says it's an initiation. The others come in. Whitney then sits down and is tattooed with the green ink. They're done drinking outside and Whitney has now also a green tattoo. They suddenly grab Whitney and throw him in front of the moving truck, but it drives through him. Whitney laughs at this. Clark asks Chloe what she remembers. She says she saw a tattoo on the guy's forearm. Lana tells Lex she used to be at the theater when she was a kid and it is important to her since her parents met there. Lex doesn't want to keep the building around. At the store, Whitney is looking cool. Clark asks him about the guys who came in the shop. As he grabs his arm, he sees the tattoo. Clark warns him, but is told to mind his own business. Clark tells Lana Whitney lost his scholarship. Clark shows her Whitney's new friends as well, but Lana's upset that she doesn't have a good business reason to keep around the theater. As Whitney closes down, his new friends arrive with the green stuff. He then leaves with them. Clark is lurking and chases them. Lex is following some instructions and is told to go into a meat locker. The door closes. The men enter through the walls. As the man checks the luggage, there is no money in it. Whitney is panicking. The man tells him to bring the money next time. Clark enters but is hit in the face. As the men run, Clark calls out Whitney. We then see the men who are mad at Whitney for backing down. The man says they are burning up and need him. Whitney then says he won't let them down again. Lex tells Clark they're blackmailing him. He tells him about the stolen disc. Clark says he was following Whitney. Lex tells him he can't save the world and he'll solve it himself. Chloe also tells Clark they are using meteor rock and one's body can't handle it. Whitney tells Lana that he's in trouble. They will kill him and Lex. He and Clark then decide to go to get the disc. They enter the crib. Clark finds the disc, and as they're about to leave, the guys arrive. The man tells him to give the disc, but Clark breaks it. The man then puts his hand in Clark's chest. This weakens Clark severely. They take Whitney somewhere. Clark tells the guy without an arm that they might die. Lex then tases him. Lex also calls the police. The man wants to crush Whitney. As Clark arrives, his tattoo works out. He points a gun to Whitney, and the man presses the button. As the car falls down, Clark saves Whitney, and the man's crushed by the car. The other guy is stopped by the cops. Clark apologized for the disc, but Lex came to help his friends. Lex tells the guys if they keep his secret, he'll keep theirs. And if they don't, they'll find out they're not the only ones who can reach through walls. Chloe's out of the hospital. Lana meets up with Lex at the theater and shows him her business proposal. She wants to turn the town into a cafe bookstore. It can also be a venue. Nell and she will manage it. Lex accepts the deal.